We focus on three areas: human rights education, capacity building for the media, and supporting discussion of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender issues. Human rights education, we focus really on training grassroots human rights advocates and campaigners and improving awareness. We work a lot with a Canadian organization called Equitas, which has also over the years trained many human rights activists here in the Philippines. On capacity building, we believe a responsible and credible media is essential for democratic development and development of this country.
As far as activities, I think very broadly. I just asked a list of activities, and it goes from good governance to protection of children, the importance of the role of women, the real protection of human rights, where people do not have a voice and they need a voice. Those kind of activities we try to finance, and we like also to participate in it and take care that steps are made. And I think in the Philippines, bit by bit, steps are taken, which I think are very encouraging.
Now we have a bilateral aid program with the Philippines, and we take into account human rights considerations across all of our aid programs. A couple of ones that we've done in recent years include cooperation between the human rights commissions of both the Philippines and New Zealand, and that project was to assist with the human rights of Indigenous peoples communities. Another project that we've done, which we're currently funding, in fact under KASAMA, is a project called Aklatan, and we fund it through the Educational Research Development Association Fund. And this project sees school children, young children, work on educating themselves and each other through storybooks and theatre, which they themselves write.
We work with a number of entities in the Philippines to protect and promote human rights. We work with the Philippine government, particularly the Commission on Human Rights, to help them improve their case management systems, their capacity to conduct forensic investigations. We're also partnering with NGOs, NGOs which promote and protect human rights for people with disabilities, for women and children, and for Indigenous persons.
The program will always be dialogue for Norwegian government. The dialogue is an instrument to get to our goals. We also believe that the rule of law is what needs to be addressed at any level in the Philippines. Children's rights, gender equality, Indigenous people, they're all important. Of course also the workers' rights is important for us.
Our human rights program in the Philippines is particularly focused on the institutional strengthening of the Commission on Human Rights. It is a constitutional and independent body responsible for ensuring the protection and promotion of the basic rights of the people. I mean, it is a very important institution. Additionally, for us, we consider mandatory to support the entire civil society. This is the main role of KASAMA. In this regard, I think the presence of many development partners supporting this initiative strongly reinforces this mechanism.
The U.S. Embassy here in the Philippines has a pretty broad program for human rights. My position is actually as the Human Rights Officer. My main focus is writing congressionally mandated reports that the U.S. Congress requires. So we have a human rights report that's annual. It runs about 53 pages on a wide variety of issues. We also have a trafficking in persons report and an international religious freedom report. Since child labor, extrajudicial killings, media freedom, really it runs the gamut.
I believe in the grassroots initiatives. I think the best ideas comes from the people living locally.
We encourage Philippine NGOs and civil sector organisations to come up with their ideas and proposals and submit them to us and to KASAMA for consideration. And some of the criteria we use are they consistent with good human rights practices? Do they represent good value for money?
Well, obviously the projects can be quite varied, but they have to be innovative, cost efficient, and responsive to the needs of the beneficiaries. It's very important for Canada and for most countries, I'm sure, to be able to properly monitor the projects, to understand the results that are achieved. For Canada, We look at capacity building projects that improve governance in the public sector, address human rights concerns, that strengthen the security and safety of communities, and assist in the area of disaster risk management.
Well, the Spanish Embassy considers that all actions in the promotion of human rights are important. But in order to be more effective, we focus on 3 priority areas: extrajudicial killings, women's rights, indigenous people.
I think in general we have to remind ourselves that the role of NGOs is key. You have government, you have the business, you have a lot of activities, but in the end it's about people and about people's voices. And I think for the moment where we have the framework agreement also in the south of the Philippines, I think it's very important that NGOs participate in a heavy dialogue. So you have to do hard work, and I think NGOs in that respect, for political freedom, for freedom of speech, freedom of religion, all kinds of topics where I think a lot can happen.
I'm really interested to see what the Filipino people what the local CSOs think need addressing. And so if somebody is really passionate about a certain human rights issue, whether it's for LGBT people, whether it's for more access for persons with disabilities, whether it's mining and indigenous people, it doesn't have to be just trafficking in persons or extrajudicial killings that get the most publicity in the international forum. But there's a lot of things I think that CSOs here could do that would really help the Filipino people.
Well, KASAMA is all about encouraging innovative approaches to human rights and human rights protection and promotion. So it's a vehicle for people who want to further the cause of human rights in the Philippines and who are able to think creatively about how that might be done. So I'd encourage all Philippine civil sector organisations with an interest in human rights to consider submitting innovative and original proposals to KASAMA.
Well, I think the key benefit that they have is that they're able to connect with the funding agencies all in one room. And I think in this area of human rights, there are a lot of organisations that have passion for their projects, that are very enthusiastic about them, but sometimes what they need is just a little bit of funding support. And KASAMA really provides a marketplace for the funding, if you like.
Well, I think KASAMA serves the civil society organizations by providing a platform where international donors, including Canada, are able to review and assess all proposals. Ideally, this should give CSOs a better chance of having their proposals approved. What might not make sense for one donor could make sense for another. So what might not work for the US might work for Canada, and I think it's important to have that clearinghouse function in place.
Probably the main problem of the civil society, and particularly the emerging NGOs, is the access to funding. KASAMA is a great instrument to address this concern. We share the vision and the mission.
KASAMA offers a very interesting funding source for many CSOs that might not otherwise have access to funds. So we have a broad variety of partners that are going to be evaluating the proposals. It's a very public and open forum. You just have to submit a written proposal and it will be weighed against all the other proposals we receive. It doesn't matter who you know. It's blind like that.
I think KASAMA is a kind of coordination, a kind of a center where everybody can pitch in. KASAMA can play a catalyzing role, can make a kind of a priority setting also, where the most urgency is in order to promote human rights. So I think in the most active way, KASAMA can play a role which helps being vocal about human rights. And I think that's the main issue for KASAMA.